First of all, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy and pleased to be here, and I want to thank in advance for the organizers for this marvelous conference. Trade and growth. If you follow the presidential campaign during the past weeks, you see that suddenly trade has become a major issue in this campaign. Whether the United States can maintain its trade policy, where they sign free trade area agreements with some countries, and how does it affect jobs in the United States? Well, I will try to show a little bit what happened to Israel and what did our trade policy did. So, few facts. Israel is a young country. Iran, you said that Israel maybe is a senior citizen. Well, my mother is in her 60s, and she claims that she's young. So Israel is a young country. Israel doubled its population 9 times. In 1948, we were 800,000 people. Today, we are 7.2 million. 9 times within 60 years. It's a lot. Think of the challenge, and think of the challenge that it's not only doubled its population, but the population was heterogeneous. My father is from Egypt, my mother is from Romania. Think of the cultural differences in a family, and you can imagine the cultural differences in a country. How do you build a society? Israel is a small domestic market, unlike the United States, where you have 300 and something million residents. Israel is only 72 million people today, and it used to be much smaller, as I said. Unfortunately, we cannot have interregional trade within our neighbors. Some of it is due to geopolitical reasons, and the main reason, from my point of view, is that I believe that even if we sign peace treaties with all of our neighbors, we have different economies. Our products are probably too expensive for our neighbors. Their products right now may not meet all of the Israeli standards. So you may have trade, but not as I show you later on, such as we have with the United States or with the European Union. It will take some time. The only natural resource we have in Israel, besides the Dead Sea, is our people. We don't have any other natural resource. We don't have oil. I think that we are almost the only country, we in Jordan, maybe Lebanon. I think we are almost the only country in the Middle East that doesn't produce oil. So we don't have natural resources. We have only our people, and we need to maintain their level of education and our skilled labor force. Israel trade policy was based on 2 main factors. The one was sign free trade to sign free trade area agreements with developed countries. Our first free trade area agreement was with the European Community in 1975, and 10 years later with the United States. And by the way, this was the first free trade area. This was the first free trade area agreement of the United States with another country. The second thing was liberalization program. I don't know if you remember, but in the early 90s, Israel changed its import policy. Until 1991, if you wanted to import anything to Israel, you had to go to the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Labor, get an import license, speak to an official, almost beg to him sometimes, and then get an import license, and then go to the customs and show the import license, and then you can import. The tariffs were very, very high. We protected our industry. We had the textile industry very heavy. I think it was 13 or 14% of our export was in textile in the 80s. And in 1991, we changed our trade policy, our import policy. No import licenses are needed. Tariffs went down. The Manufacturer Association of Israel didn't like it. They say that this will ruin our economy. We'll lose all of our jobs. The import from all over the country, from all the world, will just ruin the Israeli economy. these are the free trade area agreements Israel signed. So as you can see, in 1985 and in 1975, which was changed later on with the European Union in 2000, we signed free trade area agreements. As you can see, we signed with the major trade blocs, such as NAFTA. At the end of the 90s, we completed with Mexico and 2 years before that with Canada. So Israel has free trade area agreements with the major trade blocs. Recently, we signed free trade area agreements with the Mercosur, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, which is Mercosur has the only free trade area agreement outside of the Latin America is with Israel. So we are trying to be advanced. We are trying to be ahead of other countries because we are situated in the Middle East, because we are far away from the major market. We need to be ahead of all of our competitors. This is the industrial exports development for the last almost 40 years. I'm talking only about industrial export. I do not include diamonds, which is a major part of the Israeli industry. I do not include services, only industrial exports. As you can see, in 1970, we didn't export even $1 billion US dollars. And in 1975, as you may remember, we signed our first free trade area agreement with the European community. 10 years later with the United States. And you can see the growth. You can see the growth of our exports. Today, exports is about 30% of Israel GDP, which is for Israel, which is quite a large amount. And I think that this contributed some part of the growth to some of the growth of Israel. Please continue. What do we export? So in 1995, only 13 years ago, our industrial export was 1/3 of it was high tech, and today, after 13 years, or here it is 11 years, it's almost 50% of our export is high tech. And again, this is because of our natural resources, the people. If you want to build a high tech sector, you need people, you need brains, and definitely the immigration from the former Soviet Union contributed to it. This is our exports map. As you can see, we lie on two major markets, Europe and North America. It comprises about 75% of our exports. While on our imports, we rely much more on Europe than the United States. The major reason for it is Europe is closer. So, and they started 10 years before of the United States when they signed a free trade area agreement. And Israel in 1975 was 27 years old. The industry was not as developed. And they had an advantage of 10 years in a crucial time. Look at our exports of goods and services. Only in 2002, we had our total exports of goods and services, and this includes diamonds, was less than $40 billion. Within 5 years, we almost doubled our exports. Today, we are standing on about 75 billion US dollars. Again, within 5 years, only 5 years, we doubled our exports. And who gave the example of the blender and the ice cream? So it's not this case. I mean, you go from a significant amount of almost 40 billion US dollars into almost 80. And the last slide is just to show you that Israel is dependent on imports. Again, we don't have natural resource. And in 2006, it was the first time, I think that export and import were the same. And for us, it was in some kind of a maturity, something that shows that, yes, our industry can compete in the world market. Thank you very much for this, and I would be more than happy to answer questions.